Dr. Bailey, welcome. The NCAA, 4 letters, but they carry a lot of significance as we go into this year. What is NCAA life like for the Cardinals this year?
Well, it's very busy and it's very detail oriented. The NCAA has a lot of rules, and they're related to recruiting, they're related to financial aid, related to what happens once a student gets here, regarding their awards and their benefits, regarding how we treat student athletes, programs that we have for them to educate them, whether it's drug and alcohol education programs, whether it's community service type activities. There's just a lot of things that being part of Division II entails, which we're very excited about. And so what that means for us right now is trying to make sure we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing.
It's one thing for you to know the rules, but to teach them to all the people that are in the department, that must be a tremendous chore.
It is, but it's a good thing, and I feel good that I've got willing participants and willing pupils. They want to know the rules. You know, the bottom line for NCAA is to have the desire to do things the right way. And I believe that our people do that. You know, it starts at the top with our president and everyone involved in the institution, but then it really is important for our coaches in the recruiting process and all that. So they want to do the right things the right way, and so they want to know the rules. I'm fortunate because of my experience in Division I and being at NCAA institutions for a lot of years. Some of them are in my head, so I can answer questions quickly, or I can grab the rule book and flip through and find something in a couple of minutes, which is frustrating a little bit to some people right now because they can't do that. But I'm trying to expedite the process, and I'm also just like anything else, when I do answer a question, I'm trying to make sure that I explain where it came from, where it is in the rule book, and how it may be attached to something else. If someone says, well, I don't understand why we have that rule, well, I'll explain, well, it's because of this that happened or that happened, and there needed to be a tighter way to keep track of how many hours a week students practice, or there's a reason that students have the first 4 days off in non-fall sports so that they can get acclimated to school before they practice on that 4th day.
But that's the whole point, right? That there were schools getting away with things in the last few years. Now the NCAA mandates that you toe the line.
Right, they do. And it's all hopefully in the interest of two things. One being student athlete welfare, what's in the best interest of the student athlete, and two, to create a level playing field. And all of the rules, I believe, are really based around those two things. And if that is true, then we want to subscribe to those things because that's what we want. We want to have the chance to beat everybody or compete with everybody on their court using the same set of rules for scholarships, eligibility, and all those kinds of things. And we want to have the very best experience for our student athletes.
You've spent an awful lot of time the last couple of years with one foot on the NAIA side, one foot on the NCAA side. How does it feel to now cross the fence, so to speak, and be completely on the NCAA side?
Well, one of the best things is I'm not getting 2 sets of emails for everything, and so I'm able to manage my information a lot better. Being part of the NAI for the first 2 years I was here, as well as moving to NCAA, was a great experience. You know, the Jules history with the NAI is fabulous, and to get to know some of those folks was tremendous. But we always had in the back of our mind, in the corner of our eye, looking to what was next. And so to be there and to be able to have put the NAIA tremendous history on the shelf, if you will, we are in a good place, and it's helping our coaches focus. And I think for the last couple of years, up until really this summer, it was like the GLVC and GLVC competition and NCAA was still a dream and it wasn't real. But when we started putting schedules on the website and we started doing travel plans to going to certain locations, it's like, oh yeah, we really are in the GLVC now, and this is really happening. And here in just a few days, we're going to be making our first trip to a GLVC institution.
Yeah, that in itself is one of the complexities of this whole thing. One of the questions I've loved asking you the last couple of years is, because of the change and coming to Jewel as the athletic director, things had to be moving awful fast for you. So I'm going to ask you again, at this point now, after 2 years, are things starting to slow down a little bit as far as your day-to-day responsibilities and the things you have to deal with?
Not really, but the focus is different. The first 2 years, the focus was me learning a lot of things, being a new employee at Jewel and in a new position, and something that I had not experienced. So there was a lot of that, and so the time that I probably spent the first 2 years doing those kinds of things, I'm now channeling towards new things, like trying to get out in the community more and do things that I know supplement our NCAA image and brand and more revenue generations, those kinds of things. So I've replaced. I'm not sure that my day is any less busy, but I am focused on doing different things. And the good thing now is I don't feel like that time is all spent just treading water and getting things done, but looking forward and looking at more big picture things that will help us be better.
You mentioned community engagement, and that's such a big part of the NCAA. What does that term, community engagement, mean to you?
Community engagement to me means taking every opportunity that we can to use athletics, use the athletic program, as some call the front porch of the college, to engage or bring the community to our campus, not to just see our athletic events, but to see what Jewel has to offer overall, but using athletic events as a vehicle for doing that. That's one thing. The other thing is for me, you, others on our staff, coaches, to get out into the community and talk about what Jewel is all about these days. Our athletic program, what it means to be in Division II, but then also the opportunity to talk about all the other wonderful things we have going on at Jewel, the graduates that we have that are out doing great things in the community, that have gone on to graduate programs, the majors that we have that are turning out wonderful students, the new library, learning commons that we're building, and all of those things, to use athletics as a vehicle to bring your community to campus, but then also get your campus out into the community so that there's great partnership and great synergy so that everyone's benefiting.
Athletics, when you look at athletics, a huge portion of our student body are athletes. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You know, I think it's a good thing. I think that I've been a lot of other places where the student athlete population is really the same as it is here, 350, 375, whatever we'll end up students, but being 375 out of 1,100 is very different than being 375 or maybe sometimes even fewer out of 21,000. Student athletes are visible. Student athletes have friends. They all have friends wherever they are, but they have friends who come to their games, or friends who also might be in another extracurricular activity that they go to. Might be in the band, or might be in the theater, or whatever. Students know each other here. They know what they're involved with. There's not so much of the sports teams only sticking together. There's a lot of integration of Jewel student athletes with other students and other students in other sports, and I think that contributes to what Jewel is all about, which is the education and the experience of everything, and having the life and the balance and the academics and the social and the athletics all fitting together. And so I think it's fabulous. Now, from an academic standpoint, it's a great advantage for our students because faculty know that they're going to have 40% of the students in their class may be athletes, and so they'll make adjustments for that. They might adjust the time of a class, or we're using technology more and more all the time, so we might use technology to teach a course on Fridays when we know that athletes are going to be traveling. Academically, it's an advantage for our students to be on a campus of this size because they can major in whatever they want to. In a larger place where there might be one or two athletes that want to major in a particular program, that program is not going to make adjustments for those two students. But in our nursing program here, where we have several students from many sports, men and women, the nursing program is wonderful about making adjustments in their clinical times and their courses so that student athletes can practice and still and compete, but still see their dream of being a nurse and majoring in whatever they want to do here at Jewel. So I think it's a tremendous advantage.
Darlene, last Saturday the football crowd was outstanding. It, according to Jared Cruzy, really helped the team. But what do the people that go to an athletic event at Jewel get out of it? Why is it important for them to continue to come out and support the teams?
Well, I think that it was a beautiful night last week. Might be a little hotter this week, but it was a beautiful night last week. It's an opportunity to visit with other folks who feel the same way that you do about the institution, whether it's an alum, whether it's faculty, whether it's staff, whether it's students. All of those groups, or parents, all of those groups were in the stadium, and they all tend to gravitate to their spot. There's the faculty spot, and there's the student area, there's the parent area, there's the alumni area. They come, they see other people like them. They remember what it was like to be at Jewel, or they talk about things. If it's faculty and staff, they're together, but they're not talking about school. They're talking about what it's like to be at an event. So I think it's fun to be involved socially for those individuals. At Jewel, there's a tremendous amount of pride for our institution. To see a team competing on the field, there's no better way to feel good about what your institution, your employer, or whatever, than when you see him on the field beating somebody else. And so I think that it's sort of like being an American. It's just that pride that you feel for being part of something. So that is important. I think that good competition is important. People who enjoy the game of football, I think we're going to play a good quality of football. But a lot of it, I think, is just being part of something. And in this world where a lot of things have changed with technology and the way that people communicate, to see an event like that where you don't see a lot of phones, you don't see the iPads, you don't see the computers, where people are enjoying a live event, there's still a place for that in our world, and to see that last Saturday was really gratifying. And it did help our team because the students noticed it. Whether you see it or not, they're looking out of the corner of their eye to see who's in the stands and to see how many people are there. And one of the biggest things about last Saturday that was so fun is they didn't leave at halftime. They were still there. Now, saw a few students leave at the end of the third quarter, and they're like, hey, I think we got it in the bag. I'm out of here. But overall, the crowd stayed, which was really fun.
Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere, and of course that's the hope, is that we'll continue to bring people into the stadiums and the gym or wherever we're playing. I know that's a big part of it. I know that there are many things to still be done, but when you look at it at the end of this year, are there any goals or objectives that you really want to focus on achieving by the end of the school year?
Well, we have our competitive goals, and I've talked with each of our coaches about that. We can't participate in NCAA if we would make it. We can't participate in conference competition in some sports or postseason, but we're going to play all the schools, and we want to beat as many of them as they can. And each coach has kind of their goals. Is I think I can finish here, or I think I can finish there. So to be able to meet all those goals that the coaches have set, which it's our first year, there's low expectations by some that are not in our building, but our coaches expect a lot, and our coaches want to beat the teams we think we can beat. They want to steal a few. They want to steal a couple on the road. So that's a goal, is to be as competitive as we can possibly be, and to win the games that we say that we think we can win. I want us to have a greater presence in the community of Liberty and the community of Kansas City. Jewel, Division II, GLVC, what does that mean? When we play Rockhurst, hopefully that gets more attention than it did a year ago. We're part of something different now. So that's to have a greater presence in the community is definitely a goal of mine. And then, these are continuing goals, but for our student athletes to have the best possible experience in this new endeavor that we're doing, but then also to realize all of their academic goals as well.
Boy, another big step in the journey, our first year of NCAA. Even though it's a provisional year still, in a sense, that's the right term, correct? It is a huge step, and it's going to be an exciting journey, I think.
Absolutely. We don't use that term provisional very much. The only thing it means is we can't play in the championships, but we have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot to learn. The rules is a big part of it. In a new conference with new personalities, new sets of rules for the conference, going to new places, we're going to learn a lot about the facilities that we play in, and the trips, and what's a good trip, what's a bad trip, what hotels to stay in, where the food is good at certain places. So we're going to learn a lot from that, which is really exciting. But it's going to be good. It's already good. The response from faculty and the emails that I receive from alumni and people in the community wanting to know, what does this exactly mean? There's an excitement out there that I think that we're continuing to build.